By 1969, when I was 17 years old, I had saved enough money from teaching classes that I decided to buy a ticket to come to California. The plan was to spend a month's vacation here. In order to save money, I decided to stay at the YMCA, the one in Hollywood. And for security reasons, decided not to leave my cash and my return ticket in my room. So I gave it to the receptionist to put in the safe of the company, which he did. A week later, when I went to get some more money for my daily expenses, I find out that the receptionist had stolen my ticket and my cash. I called the manager and I told him what happened. He said, "I'm very sorry, I want to give you a couple of bucks to buy a sandwich, but I'm not buying you a new ticket to Brazil. Call the airline company," which I did. They told me that it would take 6 months. Remember, 1969 is different than it is today, that you just print a new ticket. Anyways, they told me it was going to take 6 months to make sure nobody used my ticket so they could give me a new one. In order not to worry my parents in Brazil, I called them up and say, "Dad, Mom, I love America. I want to be here for at least another 6 months." Couldn't tell them the truth, you know what I mean? So I had learned very early on in my life that all bad things happen for a good reason. And you see how that's going to turn out. Anyways, I'm now looking for work and eventually find myself flipping hamburgers at a place called White Castle, the little mini burgers. Working at White Castle, I made some friends, and the trip that was going to be a month long stretched along, and eventually became a year-long trip. In fact, halfway through the trip, I decided to go to Hawaii, visit the paradise, and then in Hawaii, it was great for the first week until I ran out of money and literally find myself panhandling on the street corners, sleeping on the street, on the sidewalk, in the newspapers, and so forth. Overall, it was a very maturing experience for me. Like I said, I made some good friends, and 1 year later, included a trip, a couple of, different locations that I went to visit. Saw Jimi Hendrix in concert, good old times in 1969, 70. And then after 1 year, I went back to Brazil. And of course, my parents freaked out. "You should have told us." And said, "Don't worry, we're back in the couch in the house, and I'm sitting between you and Mom. Everything is great." But all I thought about at that time was coming back to the United States. The bug had bit me. So I spent 2 years saving money so I could come back to the United States, which I did in 1972 to visit some friends, stayed here for a couple of months, and then went back to Brazil and went to law school in Brazil. After graduating law school, I came back to the States. And that's where the story continues.